Hello. We are glad to have you join us again on another beautiful edition of Candid Talk with Zainab Suleiman Okino. The channel is Trust TV Abuja, and our topic today is cheating in exams, women's proxy involvement. A curious topic, you will agree with me. I'm not alone here today, as we have a guest, Dr. Fabian Benjamin, who is the head of Media and Protocol, Joint Admission and Matriculation Board. Dr. Benjamin, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
Okay. Thank you for making out time from your busy schedule to join us today.
It's my pleasure.
So as always, we would like to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll trash the issue.
Thank you.
Daily, we bring you updates around politics.
People like you who are very young, you have no future. Anybody now who is 30 years, if what is happening today continues, by the time you are 60, you will have no country.
The DPO of a particular unit does not have to wait until the commissioner tells him what to do within his jurisdiction.
We have political parties on the ground. Some of them have been there for years. But they themselves, in their own sober moments, they know that this country is not what they're expecting to run.
Welcome back. In case you are just joining us, this is Candid Talk with Zainab Suleiman Okino on Trust TV Abuja. And our topic today is cheating in exams, women's proxy involvement. And our guest is a gentleman who is the head of Media and Protocol of Unified Tertiary Joint Admission and Matriculation Board. Dr. Fabian, there's hardly anyone who is in a better position to speak with us on this topic. Once again, you are welcome.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so at a meeting held in Lagos recently, the JAM registrar, Professor Oloyede, mentioned something a bit bizarre. He talked about a woman who put a lot of pressure on her son until the boy changed his score from 190 to 225. How prevalent are cases like this?
Thank you very much. I'm happy at least this is coming from a woman, so I won't be accused of at least pushing this bulk to the women's shoulder. We maybe because of the nature of women as mothers who always want to get the best for their kids. We, in the course of our, at least performing our responsibility as an examination body, we've come in contact with a lot of issues that has to do with parents, particularly mothers, aiding and abetting exam malpractices in one way or the other. You just mentioned one particular experience that we had where the mother wanted the child to read medicine and nothing else. He had even gotten admission in the University of Nigeria and Nsukka to read geology. But she said, if not medicine, nothing else. And when this chap, when the result was released and he did not get up to what we fetch him admission to read medicine, he decided to help himself. He got some of his mates who manipulated the results and got him the exact scores that would get him medicine. And he went and showed the mother, at least to satisfy the mother's...
and the mother was happy.
And the mother was happy. Until when they went for post-UTME and they needed to fill the form for screening, and she got there face-to-face, he showed the actual score of 190 and all this, and she was like, this is not possible. To her, JAM had done something that was unusual. So she came, it's just like you have stolen something from the shop, and you decided to go and accost the shop owner that, look, these things belong to me and stuff like that. So when she came to us, we said, look, go and talk to your child and let him tell you the truth of the issue, because by the time we start, we're giving you this opportunity, but by the time we start and the child confesses eventually, we'll hand him over to the police. And she was mad. The father, being a professor of medicine, he was cross with the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board. But we invited the media, and in the final analysis, the boy confessed that, look, he was under pressure. And that explains why, as a board, as a body, we try as much as possible to reduce the influence of parents when it comes to choice of discipline, even filling the phone and stuff like that. We are not unmindful of the fact that these are small kids and they are at very early age in life and all this. But we want a situation whereby let them pick what, because they know themselves, they know their capacity. Let them pick what they can do and not what the parents. You know, some parents, because of certain deficiency in their own CV, they will want to use the children to see how they can
to prove a point.
To prove a point that, yes, I am mama, doctor, papa, lawyer, and all those things. So these are the issues. We had several, in fact, there was one very unfortunate one that happened in Bayelsa, where the girl was even molested. And we were so mad, we wanted to prosecute, we wanted to go extra mile and all this. And the mother came. She said, look, sorry, sir. I know that my daughter has gone through this thing. But for me, I don't want all this trouble that you people are doing. If for the trouble that she has gone through, if there's a way that they can just increase her marks, I will be okay with it.
She actually said
yes.
it.
That if they can just increase the mark for her trouble. So for her, all those things were nothing. If the daughter could get certain score, she's okay with it.
Wow.
And it was very, very unfortunate, and we could not just believe that we were hearing that from a mother. I don't want to believe that maybe because of the societal pressure and all those things that is leading women to be doing this. Men, the fathers have also, they have their own share of the
Okay,
blame.
that's where I'm even going to. Because I know, to the best of my recollection, the registrar has complained severally about women. But what about fathers?
Yes, the parents, they also have their own share. But you see, what most parents do is to provide resources for some of these examination malpractice, get this. But the mothers, they get themselves involved directly. Directly. That is the issue. The father will give the money. They will go and pay some tutorial centers, pay some of these people that will claim that they can manipulate, inflate, or do whatever. But the mothers will go physical. Oh. They will want to be part of the action to see how they can do this. You know, women are very careful and emotional creatures. So maybe because of that, they want to really, in as much as, yes, the father has given them money, but they want to see it being done. So most of the time when we catch them, you will see that the mother is actually involved in the action. Unlike the father that will sit somewhere and just provide resources. The child will tell you, my father said I should come and see this person, he will do this and do that. But in the final analysis, all those things are always not, they don't yield to whatever they desire.
So how rampant are cases like this? Because as a woman, I really feel embarrassed.
They are very, of late, because of the engagement, the collaboration with the media, it has reduced drastically. And because they know that at the end of the day, they don't even achieve what they want to do. Because they will tell you, we can inflate your score, we can do this, we can do that. Some of these kids, unfortunately, some of them men have even taken advantage of them in the bid to try to see how they can get these scores inflated to what they want and to get the program they want. But when these results are given to them, some of them will go and fake this result and come and give them. Then when you get to the university face-to-face, where you want to just do one engagement with JAM and all this, the real result will be shown to you. Because there is no way you can inflate the scores of our examination. So because of the media, the publicity we've been doing, most of them have discovered that, look, at the end of the whole wahala and the embarrassment, it amounts to nothing.
Yes.
So there's no point doing it. So the number is actually reducing. But for every examination, we always have these funny scenarios happening here and there and all this. And we've said, look, we don't want parents in our facility during examination. But I bet you, we are starting our examination from 6th to 14th of May. Go there yourself. You will see, if you see 30 parents, I assure you, 25 of them will be women.
Yes.
25 of them will be women.
Well, maybe out of concern, because some other people have said that when you help your child to cheat, you do it out of love. What's your take on that too?
Yes, you do it out of love, but you see, this is the foundation of life. If you don't give the child a good foundation at that level, one thing that we fail to understand is that at that stage in life, these children, they don't forget. And they're very conscious of every action that the father or the mother does. And when you begin to teach them these shortcuts, in quote, they will also begin to adapt themselves to know that, look, there is always a possibility through the back door. That is the kind of lesson you're putting in their head. And at each point in time, they always want to run back to you. And you see, why we also blame, because from experience, what we've discovered is that we've had interaction with, we did a mini study, and we engaged some of these kids because we wanted to know why are these things happening. And we discovered that in most cases, even when the father said no, he's not ready to do this, the kids will go behind and meet the mother, and the mother will provide resources. Because
they'll say, talk to daddy
yes,
now. You know?
Out of the many that we've arrested, we discovered that the mothers provided the resources for them to go and pay for some of these tutorial centers. You know, when Nigerians say the cost of where they were charging this, were charging that, these kids pay 200, 150, 200,000 to tutorial centers.
As high as that?
As high as that. And most of them, you discover that a reasonable chunk of them, more than 60% of them, are paid by the mothers. The parents, the fathers are not even aware of these things. Some of them approach their fathers. They will say, no,
but don't you think that this level of, there's a reason to this level of desperation, which you may not be able to provide the answer, but it's there. We do not have enough universities to cover the number of students that apply every year.
Well, you see, ours is a very peculiar situation. Nigerians may not want to hear this, but the truth of the matter is that university education is not for everybody.
Okay.
In Nigeria, everybody wants to go to the university. You will see,
it's the system. It's not our fault.
There was a funny scenario somewhere where somebody wrote down and scored 120, 110 thereabout. And when we asked him, what do you want to see? He said, medicine. That he doesn't want to go to Polytechnic or anywhere, it's university, and he wants to read medicine.
With so 120?
You can imagine that kind of a thing. So everybody wants to go to university, even where people have identified their talent, and they know that if I go to a Polytechnic, I can do better. He wants to go to university, because for them, the degree is what will open the door for them.
Because it's the degree that matters in Nigeria.
Exactly. And I don't blame them, because we have not done enough to also encourage them. Like if you look at teacher education today, nobody wants to be a teacher. Because if you're a teacher, you're seen as a never do well. So everybody wants to either be a doctor, either be a lawyer, or be an engineer. So the pressure, and this pressure we're talking about, at the end of every admission, you would discover that there are still enough spaces to accommodate some other people. But there are persons that once they don't have medicine, they don't have law, they don't have engineering, they wouldn't want to go. I've met a chap that had written down almost 4 or 5 times. And he said, if not medicine, nothing. If not this, nothing. That is why when people talk about the spaces are not enough, in actual sense, when you talk about space as per available space to go into university, there are more than enough spaces for qualified candidates. Because not all of them that sit for this exam are actually qualified in the first instance. But the pressure is more on some of these highly subscribed programs, like law, medicine, engineering. That's why you have the pressure. Everybody that reads science is a science student, the end ambition is for him to be a doctor. And most
except my son.
Yes, we want to be other lawyers and stuff like that.
No, he wants to be a biomedical engineer.
Exactly. So it's only few. Education, agriculture, and all those things. Anybody you see in education, out of 100,
they want to read medicine.
Only 2 actually wanted to go into education or agriculture. All of them wanted to either read medicine, law, or this thing.
They
only found themselves accidentally in either agriculture or in education. So that is the problem. So government must do something to reorient the candidate, and then to see how some of these very key professions are giving incentive. Education, we cannot develop without education. Education is fundamental. Technical education is very fundamental. And that explains why the polytechnics are there, the colleges are there. But these 2 tiers of education are being relegated. So something must be done to encourage this candidate to go into these particular fields.
Viewers, I believe you are learning along with me, and I hope the issues that Dr. Benjamin is addressing here today will inspire us to work towards eliminating exam malpractices from our educational institutions. We shall be back shortly. Please stay with us for the remaining part of the program.
This is Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Nice to have you back For those who are just joining us, this is Candid Talk with Zainab Suleiman Okino on Trust TV Abuja. Today we are discussing cheating in exams, women's proxy involvement, and our guest is still the head of media and protocol of Unified Tertiary and Matriculation Examination, UTME, Dr. Fabian Benjamin. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much.
There's another interesting case of a man who returned his certificate after graduation because he cheated to get admission.
Yes.
What's the latest about that?
Well, we wrote to him and we said it is not enough for you to talk about returning your certificate and all those things, because there are a lot that you have benefited in the last, in those years that you've held onto that certificate. And if you are looking at proper restitution, then you need to also, not only that certificate, there are so many things that you need to return for the proper thing to be done. But in any case, we launched an investigation into it. But even if you cancelled that result, which invariably will cancel the degree certificate that he obtained. For instance, if the person had worked and retired, maybe he had worked for 30 years and retired, you have not done anything to him, because he has enjoyed the benefit of that malpractice. The best thing to do would have been to prosecute him, to serve as a deterrent to others. Because if I retire, I work and I retire, and I decide I can throw my certificate in the lagoon, because it's of no use to me again.
Anymore,
and I decide at that point, I say I'm returning it because I discovered that it's a product of malpractice and all these things. It's of not, you have to return every benefit that had accrued to you as a result of that certificate that you acquired through an illegitimate means. So we wrote a letter, a very strong letter to him. But at the same time, we took note of the fact that that result stands invalid. But again, we said, look, you must also do all those things, otherwise the board will prosecute you for this particular cause. We are not in any way trying to say that if people, for any reason, want to repent and all this, and they should not return their certificate, because somebody will say, that way you are discouraging others who want to turn their head. No. But what we are saying that we don't want people that want to play over the intelligence of the system. That you have enjoyed the benefit of whatever you have done, and then discover that if I have stolen 2 billion today, after 20 years, maybe I become a multi-billionaire, I have 60 billion, and I say I'm returning 2 billion that I have stolen. It makes no sense. I have to return all the money.
But don't you think his own case is still a bit better? There are still so many people who went through the same malpractices, and they are in the system.
Yes, they are in the system, but where his case makes no difference is that he had enjoyed the proceeds of that illegality. Just as those people that are in the system are enjoying it. Those people may also declare tomorrow. What we want is that at the point you discover, maybe I've written UTME in 2022 or in 2020, and I'm in university in 300 level, and I discover that, look, this is a product of cheating. I say, I am not going ahead with this program. That's the kind of one that we want to celebrate. Know somebody that had acquired a certificate after 20 years. He had worked, enjoyed his life and all this. Maybe he has found another new way of career path and all this, and then he's telling us that he wants to give us just a mere certificate. There are certain things that if you venture into, the fact that you're already known as a graduate, you have the knowledge. You don't even need a certificate again.
Anymore.
You don't need it. Because the knowledge you have acquired will be the one that will propel you through that particular career. So returning that certificate is of no consequence to you at all.
Exactly.
So we want something that will be done to such a person that at least others will see. And then because malpractice, examination malpractice is at the root of the challenge we're having in this nation today. Because
so many incompetent hands.
But when people shortchange the system, if a doctor does not do well today, it's as a result of the malpractice. An engineer building collapse here and there is as a result of the malpractice. Even the corruption we are seeing, people stealing, people being greedy, unimaginable corruption and all this, because if somebody is properly grown, he went through the proper school and all this, he will know that some of these things should not be associated with his personality. But because,
Doctor, I mean, let's move on now, because, another jam is in the offing. So let's talk about that. So what is JAM going to do differently to ensure there will be no biometric challenge during the coming exams?
Well, we've put measures on ground. The system is all about having sufficient and well-designed infrastructure so that some of these things. And we are also advising, especially our northern brothers and sisters, that examination is coming for some of them that want to go for one occasion or the other, that let them not paint their fingers and all those things.
Yes, I've seen things like that.
Yes, because that also affects the effectiveness of the biometric machine and stuff like that. you can wait after the examination and then you can do whatever you want to do and stuff like that. But from our own end, we have acquired more sophisticated machines that we capture even the slightest reading possible and all this to ensure that we eliminate completely. Globally, errors of biometrics are not supposed to be just 1%, less than 0.00%, 0.001% out of the many that you have captured. It is only in Nigeria that we are beginning to see numbers that are the margin of error, the margin of this is higher than what is known globally. Maybe because of our agrarian nature, because of the kind of things that we do with our hands and stuff like that. But we have taken that into cognizance and we have made adequate arrangement to ensure that such things don't happen. And then based on, from the technological aspect of it to fight examination malpractice, we have brought some innovation to bear, but there are not things we want to say on air and stuff like that.
I understand.
Yes, that once any candidate, if you try it, certainly you'll be caught and you will face the music.
Okay, so what's your take on course that UTME exam should have at least 2 year validity as it is in some foreign countries? And you know, some of these foreign exams like SAT, GRE, their validity period is more than even 2 years.
Yes. You see, we are not averse to that. But what we want people to understand is that the kind of examination we do now, it is just an assessment examination. Assessment in the sense that you have a higher number of persons aspiring for fewer positions. And you are trying to see how you can, the best way you can give everybody the opportunity to compete. If you look at our name, you see it's Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board. There's no examination there. Because even those people that they invented, the fathers of JAM, those the vice chancellor that established JAM, the intention was not for us to conduct examination. It was for us to serve as a data bank where we collect this information, then provide to institutions to admit based on certain criteria. The O-level is the only qualifying certificate for admission. But examination was introduced because there is no way, there is no known method that you can use that everybody will be satisfied with. If tomorrow we find another means other than examination that we can do to select candidates based on intellectual capacity, we will do it.
Okay, so on 9th of, there was a mock.
Yes.
UTME mock.
Yes.
Were there errors that were noticed that you want to correct before the main exam?
Yes, the examination was largely very successful, but we're not taking that for granted. Because, the challenge with the mock is that very few candidates, in fact, we're trying to introduce a system now that once you register for mock, even if you see the examination or you don't see the examination, you must pay 1,000 naira for the cost of the examination. Because we noticed that a lot of candidates will come and register, will indicate that they want to write the mock. At the end of the day, they will not go there. And they would have blocked spaces for others that would have picked. Because we want to have enough number that we can test run the system. This year, we only examined about 170-something thousand candidates in 757 centers. It is grossly inadequate for you to really have a feel of the center. Because for you to know how weak a center is, you must have the full capacity before you know the strength of the center. But we have noticed one or two issues here and there, which we have drawn the attention of the centers to. That, yes, you've done well, the examination was largely successful, but we think that this area you need to reinforce this particular thing and all those things. So all those things have been done and stuff like that. And our system is that if your center fails on the day of examination, automatically you're out of business.
You're out of
push you out of the business completely.
I know, Doctor, I know there are innovations that have been introduced under this current leadership of Professor Oloyede. Can you mention just a few by way of summary?
Yes, we have a lot the innovation. The biometrics thing is even, we were using 2 fingers before, we have taken it to 10 fingers to ensure that somebody does not add another finger or all this. In fact, the most celebrated innovation of this administration is what we call the CAPS, the Central Admission Processing System.
But some universities go against it.
That is why we are surprised. And we want the public to also help us because we don't understand why a university will want to admit outside CAPS. The CAPS software is managed by JAM, but we don't admit on it. We have no power to put even one candidate. For instance, Ahmadu Bello University, we have a desk officer in our office that manages the CAP platform, that particular section for Ahmadu Bello University. That officer cannot put a candidate on that system. It is Ahmadu Bello University that will recommend. The admission officer will make proposal, will call a proposal to the vice chancellor. The vice chancellor will now recommend to JAM. JAM will now approve. But what we do is to see that any recommendation that comes, we look at it. This recommendation, does it meet the requirement? The candidate, does it have the 5 O level? Does it meet the merit? the catchment, the ELDS. So,
Okay, so
I don't know why you
I know you have so much to say, but time is not on our
Yes.
side. But there is also an issue about establishing some centers for the blind.
Yes.
What about other disabled people? Can you just
Well,
summarize?
at the moment, we're doing something for the blind. We're looking at the albinos, those are within those categories, the visually impaired and all these things. And we're looking at, we're also looking something for the hearing impaired. But for physical disability, maybe my leg, I cannot all listen. We don't have, and because examination is all about your brain and your all this thing. We don't have a system for them now that can take care of that. The only thing we do to aid their mobility and all those things. But to say we're going to give them certain preference, like we do for the blind. You know, the blind, we give them we add their time because of their nature of this thing. The hearing impaired, we do all those things so that they can have time and then go slowly and then catch up with the others and stuff like that. We have a group that is even headed by Professor Kebukola that is in charge of that particular group. We pay their transport to the examination hall.
I know.
We also pay for somebody that is coming with them, their guide. The person that is guiding them to come with them, we pay for his transport, we pay for his accommodation, we lodge them in the hotel, and after the exam, we feed them, we pay for the transport for them to come and go back because of the nature of that. So when we collect 3,500 from them for registration, we end up spending close to 20,000 naira on each of those candidates.
That's good. The society is...
And as more challenged persons that come up, and then they have cogent reason, if they advance the reason and we see that we have superior argument and all this, we'll also incorporate them into that group to see how we can take care of them.
What about challenges? Are there challenges that JAM is facing?
The basic challenge is what we started with, examination malpractice. That is the only challenge. Okay. We have been able to nip everything. Our questions don't leak again the way they used to leak before and all those things. But even the malpractice, we've addressed a reasonable number of. What they are trying to do now is impersonation, which we're working on biometrics to ensure that we catch the bot. You see, some of our partners, the CBT centers, because technology, no matter what kind of technology you have, somebody will have to man that technology for it to be effective. So when there is compromise from our partner, they will have some little challenge. We are also addressing that because we have put some software that monitor even the system the candidate is sitting on. Our CCTV camera in each center monitors the centers and all this thing. And that has helped us to even arrest people that have tried to have our VPN extended to certain hall for candidates to sit examination and there, because once that system is tampered with at the headquarters, we know that something is happening there, and immediately we dispatch our monitors to go there and see what they can do.
So, how rich and interesting our discussion has been today, but I'm afraid we have to draw the curtain right now. If you enjoyed today's edition of Candid Talk with Zainab Suleiman Okino, please join us same time, same station next week for another package. And I can promise you that it can only get better. Our guest has been Dr. Fabian Benjamin, the head of Media and Protocol of Joint Admission and Matriculation Board. Thanks, Doctor.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
For doing justice to the topic.
Thank you very much.
Please do enjoy the rest of our programs on Trust TV. I'm Zainab Suleiman Okino saying enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much.